J.J. Abrams introduced his brand of Star Trek. And it was a mass resurgence for the franchise on the big screen. And it really, catapulted Chris Pine into the stratosphere as a serious actor that people wanted to go see. And so people were wondering, are we going to get a fourth Star Trek movie with Chris Pine, with the other characters, Zoe Saldana, that people really fell in love with at a point in the theaters? Well, apparently, no, we're not getting them. And that the Kelvin timeline movies are actually kaput. This comes to us from trekmovie.com. They say the long saga for Star Trek to return to big screen has taken another turn. Paramount is saying goodbye to one era of the film franchise. It's been over 9 years since Star Trek Beyond exited theaters with underwhelming box office performance, leading to several regimes at Paramount Pictures struggling to find a way to make a 14th big screen Trek work. As being reported in Variety cover feature all about Paramount's first 100 days under new CEO David Ellison and his Skydance team, Trek looks to be taking another turn. According to the Hollywood Trade, Paramount Pictures is deprioritizing some projects while bringing new focus to others as the studio looks to up its overall pace of releases, which includes an update on Trek on the big screen. This was actually a little excerpt that people are now focusing on from the 100 Days report that was going around. And it stated that there has also been a focus on reinvigorating certain franchises. The hope is to have a fresh Star Trek movie, though the studio has moved on from the idea of bringing back Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and the rest of the ensemble from the J.J. Abrams reboot. So we can safely put that to rest. Of course, there was rumblings back in 2022 that director Matt Shakman was going to possibly do a movie where Chris Pine's, Captain Kirk was going to go on an adventure with the other Chris Hemsworth, and there was going to be a time travel, and there was all these rumors. Well, it is safe to say that we are getting a hard reboot on Star Trek in the movies. I want to ask you, Zach, what do you think about finally putting the nail in the coffin when it comes to the Kelvin franchise? And do you think this is the right steps to reintroducing a new Star Trek franchise in the movies?
This makes me a little sad because I really love the Kelvin timeline. I love all three of those movies. Thought they were great. I kind of expected this because Paramount announced that Star Trek 4 was happening in, I believe, 2022 during their upfronts.
Yes.
And when I found out that the actors didn't know that this movie was happening, they found out during the same time we all found out. I was like, oh yeah, this movie's not happening. You announced this movie before you got them under contract? Now they're going to ask for a crazy amount of money because they're like, well, you announced it, so you need us so we can ask for the money we want, and then the budget's going to blow up. And that's probably exactly what happened. You have Chris Pine, who's a big actor, Zachary Quinto. He's not as big as he was during that time, but he's still a name. Zoe Saldana is an Oscar winner now. So give me my money. So I can see them going like, all right, this is not going to be worth it because probably the people who are fans of this timeline have already moved on because it's been so long, and we felt like this was already over. This is a fly in my room that is driving me nuts. Sorry if you see my hands.
That's J.J. Abrams.
Stop talking about my franchise. So I think it's about time. I want to see, just like Star Wars, I want to see Star Trek on the big screen.
Same.
And if we're going to start fresh with a fresh bunch of actors who are cheaper than these grisly actors that we've had. And then maybe, timeline stuff happens and we do get the Kelvin timeline again, but in a different way. In a crossover movie, then fine. But let's start fresh. Let's get some young bloods in here so we can start new fans of the
Only
franchise.
fans
So
of the
people that are
franchise.
like 10, 15 years younger than me and you.
Yeah, no, I think it's time. I think this is the right move because, for all intents and purposes, this iteration of the Star Trek franchise with Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto has been done for a while. Like the report said, it's been 9 years. I don't think there is a hunger for this iteration on the big screen anymore. And I think it's time to go back to the drawing board and really figure out, how do we want to make Star Trek represented on the big screen for a new audience, for more younger people to fall in love with this franchise that we know is iconic, but could still use more on the big screen? They're already doing stuff on the TV screen. We don't need to talk about that. But Star Trek on the big screen has always had its moment in cinematic history, whether it's, Star Trek 2 with Khan, whether it's, the Next Generation movies like First Contact, which I loved in theaters, to J.J. Abrams revitalizing how people can view this with the light flares and the action and the adventure and really making it fun. And for a lot of people, those movies really worked. But that was a while ago, and we are in a new era with superheroes and sci-fi movies like Dune, and it's the landscape is very different. So how can we create Star Trek and have it say something like it always has on the smaller screen? What Star Trek was able to do, and was its superpower, was it was able to take real world problems and put it into a science fiction story and make it speak to our time and what's going on in the world and have something to say. And that's really why Star Trek resonated with so many people. It wasn't until J.J. Abrams made it this action adventure type movie that it really kind of changed what people had grown to love about Star Trek. I think it is time to get back to that, to get back to the science fiction storytelling of real world issues that are going on today, to really make Star Trek stand out as its own franchise and really have something to say on the big screen. That's really where I think we need to get back to with Star Trek.
And I think that the way the world is, and I'm working on a video about how film is reflecting a lot of the things that's going on in the real world. I
Yep.
think that's if you get someone that can find a way to make a fun film that does reflect some of the troubles that we're having in the real world, I think Star Trek is ripe for tackling all that in a science fiction way, kind of showing a futuristic version of it with aliens that people can relate to,
Yes.
then go, oh, maybe what's going on in such and such isn't great.
Paul Thomas Anderson. No, I was kidding.
Hey, I'm mixed on that because he's not a big box office earner.
One battle in space.
One battle in space. But if any franchise can do it, it's Star Trek, right? Like, it's one of those franchises that is not like $1 billion each movie,
Right.
but they make a good amount of money. And I think that he has a good enough eye and enough cachet. He could get some great actors to be in the film.
No, I don't want him. I honestly, I don't know. I haven't taken the time to think of like who is the next J.J. Abrams to take Star Trek on the big screen and push it even further. Woo! Ryan Coogler, Jordan Peele. Yeah, that you're right. Those are good ones. Those are good ones, but they need to have something to really say, because I don't want to see a Star Trek movie try to be a Star Wars movie or try to be a Guardians movie. Like, that isn't what Star Trek is. And Star Trek has that superpower of really having something to say about the world we live in within a science fiction story. And so that's what I want them to hold on to when they're thinking of how we can revitalize this franchise. You can still have the action, you can still have the suspense, you can still have the fun.
It's gotta be fun.
But you can still have something that like the movie says about our world and our problems today. Yeah. That is what Star Trek is all about. So let us know what you guys think. Do you think this is the right move to get away from the Kelvin timeline and recast, redo it, and introduce it to a new generation? Or did you want to see, that Kelvin timeline conclude and have Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto have that send off because they were playing iconic characters from the original series? I totally get that. So drop a comment below and let us know what you guys think.